It's 6:19 a.m. Eastern Time here in Asheville, North Carolina. The sun isn't quite up yet, but the horizon's starting to go soft, pale blue against the black ridgeline, like someone's pulled a curtain back just a bit. The station thermometer says 56 degrees. Quiet outside. No birds. No dogs barking in the distance. Just stillness. It's the kind of quiet that makes you feel like you're the last person left on Earth. And maybe you are. My name's Tyler West. This is WPRK 103.5 FM. Or, at least it was. Local community radio back when that meant something. Now it's just me in the studio, broadcasting to whoever's still out there with a working radio and enough battery power to hear it. We lost full grid power 3 nights ago. The solar rig out back, installed by an old friend of mine back when we used to laugh at people who said this day would come. That's the only thing keeping this place alive. It's barely enough to power the console, and I'm rationing it by the hour. There's a little light on the board blinking, reminding me I've got about 34 minutes of juice left before I need to flip over to the auxiliary inverter, which gives me maybe an hour and a half if I cut everything else. I don't know what's still out there. I don't know who's still listening. But I'm gonna keep talking until my voice is gone, or the batteries are, whichever comes first. Subscribe for more stories and to support the production of this broadcast. I don't know what to call this yet. Some are calling it a spore bloom. Others say it's a bioweapon. There's a guy up north who keeps calling it the quiet death. Doesn't really matter what name we give it. It's the same thing no matter what you call it. Something unnatural, something alive, something in the air that doesn't belong. It started 3 weeks ago. At first, it just looked like unusually high pollen counts. I remember people sneezing more than usual. Cars dusted with this strange green-gold film that didn't wash off easy. Doctors said it was allergies. Then they said it was mold. Then they stopped talking altogether. The first real sign that something was wrong happened on the Blue Ridge Parkway. A ranger reported a woman standing in the middle of the road, barefoot, just staring up at the sky. Wouldn't move, wouldn't respond, just standing there, arms limp at her sides, breathing through her mouth like she didn't even remember how to close it. Her clothes were soaked with dew. When the ranger tried to approach, she didn't blink, didn't speak, but her skin. He said it looked like something was pushing through it from the inside, like her pores were swollen. He said her eyes were ringed with yellow fuzz, not like conjunctivitis, but like fuzz, actual strands, like plant growth. He called it in, and they took her to Mission Hospital. 2 days later, the hospital stopped returning calls. I've lived here in Asheville my whole life. I've seen floods. I've seen blizzards that knock the power out for a week and wash out the roads so bad the National Guard had to helicopter in MREs. But I've never seen anything like this. It's not just the people going weird, it's the air. It's the way light hits the fog in the morning. It doesn't look right. There's a shimmer to it. People say the spores are airborne, but it's more than that. It feels like the air is breathing, like the forest is watching. And now that the power's down and most people have either fled or locked themselves inside their homes, that feeling's grown stronger. Like we're not alone, even when we are. If anyone's still in Asheville and listening, the downtown area is no longer safe. Repeat, do not go downtown. The spore density is too high. I drove through Pack Square yesterday. Well, I didn't get far. My truck choked out near the courthouse, like the engine couldn't breathe anymore. I had to walk back to the station on foot. There were people, or things that used to be people, standing around the Vance Monument, not moving, all of them facing different directions, like compass needles. One of them turned its head when I passed. Didn't chase me. Didn't speak. Just followed me with its eyes. Its face was cracked open along the cheeks, like bark peeling back from a tree. I don't know what stage of the infection that is. I don't know if there are stages. All I know is this. It's spreading faster than anyone can explain, and whatever this is, it doesn't stop with people. The trees are changing too. Vines that weren't there 2 days ago now cover entire street signs. There's moss on the walls of buildings that should be bone dry. And the smell. Jesus, the smell. It's like the inside of a sealed greenhouse. Wet dirt, rotting wood, sweetness, like fruit that's gone bad. I've got a friend out in Black Mountain. Well, I had a friend. James was a biology teacher. One of the smartest people I knew. He had theories early on. He said it wasn't just a fungus, it was a network. Said the spores were part of something bigger, something that learns. He tried to explain it to me in terms I could understand, talking about mycelium, about how a single fungal organism in Oregon spans over 3 square miles underground, sharing information through chemical signals. He thought this was the same thing, only faster, more aggressive, adaptive. I haven't heard from him in 4 days. His last message was a voicemail. He said, "They're listening, Ty. Not just watching. Listening. The more we move, the more we talk, the faster they find us." Then the message cut out. If anyone has information about what's happening in Mars Hill, Boone, or Brevard, please try to reach this station. I'm monitoring all shortwave frequencies and VHF relays. As of now, I've only picked up 1 confirmed transmission since yesterday, a weak signal from somewhere near Waynesville, saying the shelters there are overrun. I don't know by what. The message didn't say. Just, don't go west. Waynesville's lost. That's it. No signature, no voice. Just those words, over and over again until the signal dropped to static. I'm going to try to stay on this frequency as long as possible. I've got about 6 gallons of water, a pantry full of canned soup, and a few batteries left for the handheld transmitter if the board goes dark. If I stop talking, it's either because I'm moving or because I've finally run out of time. For now, if you're hearing this, breathe through a mask if you have one. Wet cloth if that's all you've got. Don't run. Don't disturb the air too much. And whatever you do, don't go into the mist. The mist is alive, or something in it is. You're not crazy. The trees are growing toward your house. The vines weren't there yesterday. And that whispering you hear at night, when everything else is quiet, that's not your mind playing tricks on you. It's the forest trying to remember your name. I'm going to log off now and conserve power for the midday update. But I'll be back. If I'm not, well, you'll know something got to me. Stay sharp. Keep the windows closed. And for God's sake, don't let it in. It's 9:44 a.m. here in Asheville. WP, RK 103.5 FM. Tyler West still on the air, somehow. The sun's up now, but it doesn't feel like it. There's a haze that's settled over the mountains, like the light can't push through whatever's in the air. It's yellowish, almost sick-looking. You'd think a sunrise would feel like hope, but not this one. The station's solar battery charged enough for a second round of broadcast. I rigged a workaround using a car battery I salvaged from a dead Ford Ranger outside the Ingalls parking lot on Merriman. Never thought I'd be doing this, stealing batteries, eating straight from cans, sleeping in 15-minute shifts with a crowbar by the door. But here we are. This morning, I opened the side door to let in a breeze. Big mistake. Within seconds, I felt it, this fine dust in the air, almost invisible. It hit the back of my throat like pepper, but it wasn't dust. It was spores. I could feel them settle behind my eyes, inside my nose. I slammed the door shut and rinsed out with bottled water and iodine drops, which may or may not help. I've heard from others, well, I used to hear, that once it's in, it doesn't leave. It just waits. Waits for something to trigger it. Heat? Moisture? Movement? No one's sure. James thought it responded to adrenaline, that maybe it knew when your body started to panic and woke up along with you. I haven't left the building since yesterday, not since what I saw out there. The old woman. Her name was Lorraine something. I'd seen her around the co-op. Used to walk her dog in a little purple coat. Always smiled at everyone, even the ones too busy to smile back. I saw her through the window last night. No dog, just her. Moving slow, one foot dragging like her leg had forgotten how to be a leg. She stopped across the street from the station, looked up at the window, not at the building, at me, like she could see me through the glass, through the dark. She lifted one hand, waved, but her face didn't move. No smile, no anything. And her skin had these branching gray veins, like roots, running from her neck into her cheeks, blooming beneath her eyes. Her mouth opened slightly, just a crack, and I swear I heard something from that distance. A sound, like wind through pine needles, but wetter. Then she turned and walked into the woods, barefoot. I haven't seen her since. I'm not sure if that was her, or something wearing what used to be her. I don't know if there's a difference anymore. I got a transmission about an hour ago. Weak signal, broken voice. A man identifying himself only as Luke, north of Hendersonville. Said he's holed up in an old Boy Scout camp off Route 64. Described large fungal growths the size of beach balls forming near the riverbank. Said they burst if you get close, explode into clouds of fine white powder. Anyone who breathes it in starts coughing within a few hours. Then the fever, then the silence. That's what he called it, the silence. He said once it sets in, they stop talking, stop responding, and just stand there until something tells them to move. He lost a friend that way, a woman named Dara. Said she was reading by lantern light one night, coughing into a rag. Next morning, she was standing in the middle of the lake, waist deep, eyes wide open, not blinking. He tried calling her name. She didn't answer, just turned her head slowly toward him, and he ran. Said he didn't have the heart to try and save her. I told him he did the right thing. I lied. I don't know what the right thing is anymore. I've had some time to think about the way this whole thing began. I keep coming back to the reports. Quiet at first. A few stories about hikers going missing in Pisgah, about dogs refusing to go into the forest. A ranger who shot himself in the foot on accident claimed he heard whispering coming from under the moss, like something was giving him directions. A wildfire that spread too fast and died too suddenly, like the trees let it burn only as far as they wanted, then stopped it. And then there was the research center. It doesn't get mentioned often, but I remember. North of the city, private contractor, fenced in with cameras, barbed wire. Officially, it was a climate study site. Unofficially, everyone in town called it what it really was. Military. There were stories, unmarked trucks, shipments late at night, helicopters that didn't show up on flight trackers. People say the bloom started from there. Some kind of synthetic myco-agent, spore engineering, a fungus designed to consume pollutants or break down plastics. Something meant to heal the world, but it mutated, or maybe it didn't. Maybe it's doing exactly what it was built to do. Eat everything unnatural, including us. If that's true, then we unleashed something we can't undo. A cleanup crew with no off switch. It doesn't care about borders, doesn't care about intent, doesn't care if we meant well. It just grows, it spreads, and it learns. I haven't heard from any national stations in over 48 hours. NPR went silent. BBC World cut out mid-sentence. No AA weather updates stopped looping. Cell towers are blinking out one by one. I keep scanning the dial, hoping for voices, even ones I don't understand. But all I get is static and this strange, low hum, like something's using the empty bands to breathe. If anyone can hear me, I need to know. Is it the same where you are? Are the plants growing faster? Are the animals acting strange? Have the birds stopped flying? Do the trees lean in closer every time you look away? God, listen to me. I sound insane. But this is the part I keep coming back to. If the spores are part of a living, thinking network, what if it's not a parasite at all? What if it's a replacement? We're always talking about how we've poisoned the planet. What if this is the antidote? A reset switch, a way to take back the Earth from us. Not a punishment, not revenge, just an immune response. And we're the virus. I don't know. I'm just one guy with a microphone and a bunch of canned beans. But I'm going to keep talking, because silence is worse. Silence is what happens when we stop trying. Silence is when it wins. I'll check back in before sundown. If you're still listening, write this down. WPRK 103.5 FM, Asheville, NC. Signal range, maybe 20 miles now, depending on terrain. If you've got a radio, stay on this frequency. If you've got a shortwave, scan the 4.7 to 5 megahertz range. Look for a pulse every 13 seconds. That's me. This is Tyler West, and I'm still breathing. It's 2:06 p.m. now. Still Asheville, still WPRK 103.5 FM, still me, Tyler West. I was going to wait until sundown to broadcast again, but something's changed. Something's different today, and I don't know how to explain it. I needed to say it out loud. Maybe just to hear it myself. Maybe so that if I disappear tonight, someone somewhere will know what I saw. First off, the light's wrong again. This morning I said the sky was yellow. That's not quite true anymore. It's gray now. Not storm gray. There's no rain, no clouds even. Just this thick uniform veil, like wet paper pressed over the sky. There's no sun, just a glow behind the curtain. And everything, trees, cars, buildings, even the air, looks like it's been filtered through an old television screen. The colors are drained, as if the world's been left out in the sun too long and started to fade. I opened the station door a little while ago, just cracked it to listen. No wind, no birds, no cars. But I did hear something, a soft sound, almost too quiet to notice, like a creaking, not from wood, but from the ground, the dirt, like roots moving, stretching beneath the floorboards, like something below me is adjusting or growing. It gets louder if I stay still. I've been watching the trees through the slit in the blinds for hours now. There's a pine outside the studio that I've looked at every day for the last 5 years. It used to lean slightly east, just enough to catch the sunrise through the ridge. But now, I swear it's leaning more. I measured it against a broken lamppost across the road, and the angle has changed. A few inches, no more. But it's moved, and trees don't just move like that unless something's making them. Something underground, maybe. I haven't slept properly since Tuesday. I don't even know what day it is now. I nap in 20-minute stretches. That's the only way I can make sure nothing slips inside while I'm out. I've boarded the windows with plywood, covered the vents with duct tape and plastic. I even stuffed old clothes under the doorframe. The spores are small, microscopic, but I'm trying. That's all I can do now. Try. There's something I need to talk about. Something I've been avoiding. I wasn't going to mention it until I had more proof, but I think it's time. I think the infection changes more than just the body. I think it changes the mind. It's not just blank faces and drifting eyes. There's intent behind them. I've seen people, or ex-people, move in formation. I watched 3 of them walk down North Market last night, slow and steady, about 20 feet apart, like they were searching for something. One of them stopped in front of a convenience store, tilted their head, then walked away. A few seconds later, the other 2 did the same, like they were all part of one thought. It's not random. It's coordinated. I got a second message this morning. Not a voice this time, but a shortwave ping. A digital pulse. It came from somewhere east of Swannanoa. Barely made it through the interference, but I managed to decode a text string. It said, Station Echo 9 lost. Infection vector is cognitive. Avoid language. Avoid names. Avoid memory. I read that about 5 times before I let myself believe it. Avoid language? What the hell does that mean? James used to say that fungi operate on a kind of biological intelligence, communication through chemical pulses and memory stored in growth rings, like a record player etched in fiber. Maybe that's true. Maybe whatever this thing is doesn't just invade flesh, it invades thought. And maybe when we speak, when we remember, when we name things, we make ourselves more visible to it. Maybe knowing who we are is how it finds us. There was a woman who stopped by this station once a year. Her name was Alma. Drove in from Murphy. Old pickup with a bumper sticker that said, Appalachia isn't a place, it's a prayer. She always brought homemade jams and extra batteries and a stack of self-printed newsletters about natural medicine and wild edibles. She believed in the old ways. Believed the earth was alive and that it remembered how we treated it. I used to laugh about that. I'm not laughing now. I found one of her newsletters behind the desk earlier. July 2016. The cover story was about lichens, how they're not a single organism, but a partnership between fungus and algae. She called them the oldest marriage on Earth, said they were proof that symbiosis was stronger than dominance, that survival was a team sport. And now I keep wondering, what if this isn't an attack? What if it's a courtship? What if we're not being hunted? We're being invited. And what happens when we say yes? There's something else I haven't told you. Something I've been hiding even from myself. 4 days ago, I was in the forest. Just briefly. I'd gone looking for supplies, and I thought it would be safer to cut through the trails behind the elementary school. I was wrong. There was a mist down in the holler, clinging low to the ground like milk poured over blacktop. I held my breath, tied a wet bandana around my mouth, didn't touch anything. But when I got home, my shirt had changed. There were small green filaments on the inside of the collar, like moss, but finer, softer, almost invisible unless you tilted the cloth against the light. I burned it, scrubbed myself raw in the janitor's sink, rinsed my sinuses with salt water. But I keep thinking about those filaments, about where they came from, and I keep checking my face in the mirror, my eyes, the corners of my mouth. I haven't coughed yet, haven't stopped sleeping. But sometimes when I sit still too long, I feel not alone, not quite. There's a pressure in the air, like a second heartbeat that's not mine. And sometimes when I talk, I hear myself thinking words I didn't mean to say. I'm trying to stay me, I promise. But I don't know how long I can keep that promise. I'm going to shut down for a few hours. Let the battery bank reset. If you're listening, stay inside. Seal the windows. Cover the vents. Don't say your name out loud. Don't think about what day it is. Don't remember birthdays, holidays, or faces. Not yet. Not until we know what it's listening for. You are not alone, even if that's exactly what it wants you to believe. This is Tyler West, still here, still trying. It's 7:12 p.m. The sun's gone now, what little there was of it, and the ridge is just a black edge against a green-brown sky. I'm broadcasting from a station that barely has enough power to keep the LED board lit. The batteries are holding steady, but only just. The air inside is thicker than before, damp, heavy. Every breath feels like I'm drinking it instead of breathing it. I've taped another towel over the vents. It's not much, but it's something. I've been sitting here for an hour listening to the same sound, a low clicking, not from the radio, out there, from somewhere behind the tree line. It's steady, rhythmic, not like any animal I know, not insects either. I know cicadas and katydids, and this is different. It sounds purposeful, like tapping on wood, like fingers. I don't know how long I'll be able to stay here. The spores aren't just outside anymore. They're in the walls. I scraped back part of the drywall in the break room earlier and found white tendrils growing behind it, like veins, thin and webbed, spreading outward from a single cluster about the size of a golf ball. When I touched it with the end of a broom handle, it pulsed, like it knew. I sealed that room off, pushed a desk up against the door, but it's just drywall. It won't hold for long if it wants out. I used to think this was just an infection, something we could burn out, isolate, maybe even cure. But the way it grows, the way it knows, that's not how infections behave. That's strategy. That's adaptation. And it's fast. Too fast. I keep thinking about a phrase James used once. Myco-integration. He said it during one of our late-night coffee-fueled debates when we used to argue about whether mushrooms could think. He said, "Ty, it's not about thought the way we understand it. It's about problem-solving, navigation, memory. The mycelial network underneath our feet is older than language, older than teeth. It doesn't need neurons. It is memory." I laughed at him, called him a dirt hippie. Now I wish I'd written more of what he said down. I've had no contact from anyone in over 7 hours. No pings, no shortwave, no automated relays. Nothing. It's like the whole world went to sleep and forgot to wake up. Even the emergency broadcast system is dead. You'd think someone, somewhere, would still be trying to reach out. But the silence is total, except for that clicking. I've started writing down what I see, trying to keep a log, even if I don't live long enough for anyone to read it. If you're out there, listening, here's what I've observed in the past 24 hours. First, mold doesn't spread this fast on its own. The growth on the south wall of the station wasn't there this morning. Now it's creeping over the studio window, and I swear it wasn't there 10 minutes ago. It's not just feeding off moisture. It's following heat, movement, maybe even electricity. Second, anything organic is a host, not just people. I saw a deer in the parking lot around 5 p.m., just standing there, perfectly still, legs locked, mouth open. It had the same fuzz growing around its nostrils as the woman I saw last night. Its antlers were coated in moss. Real green moss, like you'd see on a stone wall. It didn't blink. It didn't flinch. It turned its head toward the station slowly, mechanically, and then walked away. Third, and this is the part that keeps me up, it's learning to mimic. I'm not sure how else to explain it, but I've been hearing my own voice on other frequencies. Not recordings. Me, but not me. Saying things I didn't say. Not full sentences, just fragments. Things I've said into this mic in the last few days, chopped up and stitched together like a ransom note. I caught one about an hour ago. This is Tyler West. Don't breathe. Stay inside. We are together. Together. That's the word that comes up the most. Whatever it is, it wants us together. It wants us close. It wants us in one place. Maybe so we're easier to harvest. Or maybe that's just how it thinks. James once told me that when two fungal colonies meet, they don't fight. Not at first. They merge. They exchange chemicals, memories, DNA. They introduce themselves. He said, fungi don't conquer. They assimilate. I didn't understand that then. I think I do now. I'm starting to believe that whatever this is, it doesn't want to kill us. Not exactly. Death is a byproduct, a side effect. What it wants is to use us. It wants our bodies, sure, but it wants our minds more, our memories, our speech, our voices. I think that's why it mimics. I think that's how it learns. So, if you hear my voice on a different frequency, don't follow it. Don't respond. Don't trust it. It might sound like me. It might even say your name, but it's not me. Not yet. There's something else I need to talk about. Something I've been avoiding. I found a note this morning, slipped under the studio door. No signature, no date. Just 5 words, scrawled in pencil on a torn scrap of printer paper. Stop talking. It can hear. I don't know who left it. I don't know how they got that close without me noticing, but it means someone else was here, or something that used to be someone. And if that message is true, then maybe this broadcast is doing more harm than good. But I can't stop. Not yet. I need you to know what's happening here. I need you to remember that someone tried, that someone stayed behind, that someone refused to be silent while the world fell asleep. If you're still out there, if you've made it to higher ground, or you're holed up somewhere safe, or you've figured out a way to keep the spores out, keep going. Keep thinking. Don't let it take your name. And if you hear a voice in the dark that sounds like someone you love, ask it a question only they would know. Ask it something they told you in secret. If it hesitates, run. I'm signing off for now. I'll check back in around midnight if the batteries hold. If you don't hear from me, well, maybe I'm just resting. Or maybe I've gone quiet too. Either way, this is Tyler West. Still here, still human, I think. It's 12:03 a.m. Midnight passed quietly, but not silently. There's a difference, and I'm only just starting to understand it. Quiet is when nothing moves, when the world holds its breath. Silence, that's when the world listens. Right now, it's listening. I don't know if you can hear it from wherever you are, but here, it's never completely still anymore. The forest has a pulse. It's not loud, but it's there. A constant low vibration, like the hum of a refrigerator that's buried inside your bones. It comes and goes in waves, like it's breathing, like it's waiting for something. Maybe us. The mold on the wall has cracked through the paint now. It's spreading in streaks, up, not out, almost like it's reaching, like it wants to stand. The spores in the air aren't floating randomly. They're drifting toward heat sources. I lit a candle earlier to warm a tin of soup, and within seconds, the dust in the room started to swirl in that direction. I blew it out. I haven't lit anything since. The clicker, whatever's been making that rhythmic tapping in the woods, it stopped just after 11. That's the first time since yesterday I haven't heard it. I don't know if that's a good thing. I've been thinking a lot about memory, about how fragile it is, how it's tied to smell and sound, and small things we don't even notice until they're gone. The way your jacket smells like smoke after a bonfire. The way a loved one clears their throat when they're nervous. The click of your car's turn signal. The beep of the microwave. All these little pieces of identity that stack up to say, this is who I am. And now, they're all being erased, bit by bit. No one beeps anymore. No cars. No ovens. No microwaves. No phones. Just the wind, if you're lucky. Or the whisper of spores against glass, if you're not. A couple hours ago, I picked up a very faint signal on the 5.875 megahertz band, barely there. A voice, male, maybe older, speaking in what I think was German, then switching to English. The transmission was patchy, like it was bouncing through layers of interference. But I caught one phrase clearly, said twice. The spore is learning speech. Then it went dead. I don't know if it was a warning or a confession. I've been replaying the phrase in my head ever since. The spore is learning speech. Not just mimicry, not just copying sounds like a parrot or a computer playback. Learning, understanding, using language to communicate, to manipulate, to adapt. If that's true, if this thing is developing syntax and intention, then we're not dealing with an outbreak. We're dealing with a conversation. And we don't know who's on the other end. I'm starting to think about this in terms of ecosystems. Maybe this isn't just infection. Maybe this is succession. You know how after a wildfire, certain fungi and mosses are the first to return? They pave the way for everything else. They reset the table, clean up the damage, rebuild. What if that's what we are now? Soil. What if our cities are compost, our homes just shells for a new kind of brain to grow into? There was a girl who used to call this station every Friday afternoon to request the same song, Saturn, by Sleeping at Last. Her name was Leah. She had a quiet voice, always a little breathless, like she was running upstairs. She once told me that she believed the universe was built from the leftovers of old stars, and that we were just recycled stardust learning how to be alive again. I keep thinking about her voice. Not because I think she's still out there, but because I heard it yesterday. Not on this station, on another frequency. Whispering. She said, "Tyler, come outside." But it wasn't her. It didn't feel like her. She never called me Tyler. She always said, "Mr. West," like I was her teacher or something. That's how I knew. Whatever this thing is, it's digging through our memories. It's finding what matters to us and using it as bait. That's not a virus. That's not a parasite. That's intelligence. A few minutes ago, I heard footsteps outside. Not fast, not sneaky, just soft, deliberate. Gravel crunching under weight, then silence, then a knock, 3 slow taps on the station's back door. Not the front, where the light is. The back, the one that faces the woods. the one I keep locked with a steel bar and 2 stacked filing cabinets. I didn't answer. A minute later, I heard it again. My voice. Clear, smooth, confident. Let me in. We can talk. I didn't move, didn't breathe, just sat here, hand on the power switch in case I needed to go dark. I never knew how much I relied on the sound of my own voice until it turned against me. I haven't heard anything since. I think it's gone. Or maybe it's just waiting. Maybe it doesn't need to knock anymore. Maybe it's already in. God, I wish I was wrong. There's something in the vents. I can hear it moving, slow, wet sounds. Like something dragging itself through the ductwork. It doesn't scrape, it slides. Every time I speak, it stops, listens, then starts again, slower. I can't stop broadcasting, but I'm going to whisper now. I think it hears better when I speak loud. I'm still here, still myself. If you're out there, if you're in Boone or Mars Hill or down past Brevard, if you've got a working radio or even a hand-crank tuner, turn it on. Tune to 103.5 FM. This station's still running, still human, for now. Don't follow voices you know unless they say your name the right way. Don't go outside when it's quiet. Don't let it make you forget who you are. If you remember nothing else, remember this. You are not part of it. Not yet. I'll check back in at 3 a.m. If I don't, burn the station. Burn it all. This is Tyler West. Still here. Still fighting. I think. It's 3:16 a.m. I overslept. Not long, maybe 20 minutes. Maybe more. I don't know. The emergency timer I set didn't go off. The battery was still charged, but the alarm system, just a cheap digital kitchen timer I used to stay awake, was dead. Not drained. Just blank. Screen gone. No sound. Like it had been erased. I woke up because of the smell. It's in the walls now. Not just the mold. The smell. Like sweet rot. Like overripe bananas left out too long in a sealed car on a hot day. There's an edge to it. Chemical. Metallic. A mix of things that don't belong together. It coated my teeth when I opened my mouth. I can taste it. Even now, just sitting here. I scrubbed my tongue with the last bit of clean water I had in the bottle, but it's still there. Like something marked me while I slept. I checked the back door again. The filing cabinets are still in place. The lock is unbroken, but something was here. I found a smear across the window, a handprint, I think, not a normal one. Longer fingers, no visible fingerprints, just streaks. And at the edge of the glass, a cluster of spore caps, pale yellow, small as dimes. They hadn't opened yet. They will soon. Something tried to get in, and when it couldn't, it left something behind. I need to talk about what happens when the spores don't take over right away. I need to talk about the waiting stage. You see, not everyone changes immediately. Not everyone becomes one of them overnight. Some people stay, in between, still aware, still conscious, but connected. James called it low-density colonization, like a test run, like the network is still deciding if you're worth the effort. They walk around like nothing's wrong. They talk. They smile. They still blink and eat and drink water and laugh at the same jokes. But their dreams start to change. They start hearing things. Voices in their sleep. Urges. Instructions. And then they start listening. I've seen it 3 times now. People on the edge. People who knew something was wrong with them and couldn't stop it. One of them was a guy named Roland. Used to run the supply store up in Weaverville. Big guy, used to wear suspenders and yell at kids who touched the bait freezer. I saw him yesterday morning. He walked past the station. Just walked, hands in his pockets, whistling some old tune. I nearly called out to him. Then I saw the moss growing up the side of his neck. His left eye was turning pale. Not blind, not milky, just empty, like it was hollowing out from the inside. But he was smiling, waving at the trees, muttering something under his breath. I opened the window a crack and listened. He was saying names, over and over. Marianne, Celia, Caleb, Ben. I recognized a few, locals, all gone missing. And when he reached the edge of the parking lot, he stopped, turned to the station, tilted his head and said, "It remembers you, Tyler." Then kept walking. That was 13 hours ago. I haven't seen him since. I want to believe he's still human. I want to believe that maybe he's just sick. Maybe this is all just a fever dream, and I'm the one infected. But the more I listen to the static between the stations, the more I hear patterns. Not music, not voice, something else, like a code. The interference isn't random. It pulses every 47 seconds, then skips, then pulses again. Always the same rhythm. I wrote it down, looped it 4 times, laid the waveform out on paper. It looks like branches. This thing isn't just growing through us. It's growing with us. It's using what we know, what we've built, our towers, our power, our voices. I got brave, or stupid, and opened the emergency access hatch in the utility closet just after midnight. Just wanted to check the grounding wires, make sure the solar array was still feeding the board. But when I pulled the panel off, I found something tucked inside, a piece of cloth, rolled tight. When I unwrapped it, there was a small glass vial inside. No label, just a dull green fluid, and a note, written in blood, because of course it was. The note said, "Boil. Breathe. Do not think." That's it. I haven't boiled it yet. I don't have a safe burner. I don't know who left it, but it means someone else is fighting. Someone knows something. Maybe the spores can't tolerate whatever this is. Maybe it blocks their signal, or burns them out, or severs the link before it roots too deep. I don't know. I'll try it if I start to slip. But not yet. Not yet. I want to talk to you about fear. Real fear. Not the kind you get watching a horror movie or walking alone at night. I mean the deep kind. The kind that rots your center, that eats your voice from the inside out. It's not just the creatures out there. It's not just the mold, or the darkness, or the silence. It's the moment you realize that you might already be part of it, and that it might be kind. There's something seductive about how quiet everything is now, how simple. The chaos is gone, the noise, the bills, the endless scrolling, the artificial urgency of life, and in its place, stillness, softness, growth. It offers something, you know, a way to stop hurting, a way to belong. And I think that's the scariest part. What happens when you don't want to resist? What happens when the fear stops? I'm not there yet. I'm still angry, still human, still broadcasting, but I can feel the edges of it pressing in, asking questions, offering peace. I won't take it. Not tonight. Not until I'm sure no one else is out there. So if you're listening, and you're scared, and you're shaking in the dark, know this. Your fear is proof that you're still you. Don't give that up. Not yet. This is Tyler West, 103.5 FM. Still breathing. Still alone. I'll check in again before sunrise, if I make it. It's 5:27 a.m. I can see the edge of morning creeping in through the blinds, but it's not the kind of light I remember. It's weaker, paler, like someone dimmed the sun down to half power. I used to love this time of day, the way the light would spill over the mountains, gold and orange, slicing through the fog like a slow knife. But this morning, the fog's too thick, and the light feels artificial, like it's coming from behind a screen or from underneath the ground. I haven't moved from this seat in over an hour, not because I can't, because I don't want to. Every time I so much as shift my weight, I hear something shift back. There's something outside the studio, maybe one thing, maybe several. I don't know anymore. The floor creaks when it shouldn't. There's weight where there wasn't. They don't knock anymore. They just wait. There's a stillness to them that I can't describe. Not like death, not like sleep. More like rehearsal. Like they're waiting for their cue to act again. I've started keeping a tally. A little scratch pad I found in the supply closet. Every hour I'm still alive, I mark a line. Not because I'm counting the days. Days mean nothing now. I'm just trying to remember that I have time. That time is still moving forward. That we haven't all been pulled under whatever blanket this thing is trying to throw over the world. I want to tell you what I saw just before dawn. I stepped onto the rooftop, just for a moment. I know it's dangerous. I know the spores are thicker up there. But I needed air, even bad air. I needed sky. And I saw something moving on the ridge, a long, continuous shape, slow, like a wave, like a massive carpet being dragged across the hills. Not a single creature, not even a group. Something bigger. It moved in silence. And where it passed, the trees bowed. I'm not speaking metaphorically. They bowed, like the trunks bent toward it, surrendered, welcomed it. When it disappeared behind the southern tree line, I swear, I felt the ground sigh, like a held breath being released. That's when I came back down, and that's when I found the fungus on my microphone. It wasn't there before. I check this rig constantly. I clean it every time I broadcast. But now, clinging to the foam cover, just a few delicate strands, not enough to choke me, not enough to grow, just enough to say, we're listening. I sterilized it with the last of my alcohol wipes, but I'm not sure it matters. It already knows my voice. It already knows yours. I keep thinking about what James said before he disappeared. One of the last things he transmitted, right before the static took over, was this. The fungus isn't killing us. It's copying us. He said it was building something out of what we leave behind. Our language, our thoughts, our routines. Like we're ingredients in a recipe it's almost done writing. And the terrifying thing is, I don't think it's doing it with malice. I don't even think it understands us. I think it's just following instinct. A new kind of instinct. One built from billions of cells and memories and signals moving underground like cables in a city that no longer exists. I think it wants to be us. Or more precisely, it wants to replace us without us noticing. I got another whisper last night, through the static. This time, it wasn't my voice, it wasn't Leah's, it wasn't anyone I knew. It was everyone. Layered voices, all speaking at once, all saying the same thing. We are not the end. Just that, over and over, toneless, flat, emotionless. I think it was trying to comfort me. That's what chilled me the most. Because if it learns how to reassure us, if it learns how to say what we want to hear, then we're lost. Not overnight, not in some wave of spores or mushroom clouds or body snatchers. We'll just forget, one at a time, quietly, and we'll become part of it, thinking we're still whole. That's how this ends. Not with panic, but with peace. The kind of peace you feel just before falling asleep in a burning house. I'm not going to let that happen. Not here. Not yet. If you're still listening, if your hands are shaking and your lungs hurt and your memories feel thin, know this. You are still alive. You are still you. Say your name out loud. Whisper it if you have to. Write it in the dust. Burn it into the air with your breath, because the moment you forget it, the spores will give you a new one, and it won't belong to you. This is Tyler West, and I remember. I will always remember. I'll be back at first light. If I'm not, if the static returns instead of my voice, then you'll know it found a way in. In that case, use the fuel canisters behind the building. Light it up. Burn the station to ash. Don't let it keep me talking. Don't let it turn my voice against you. This is Tyler. I am still me. Still here. It's 7:49 a.m. Eastern. The sun is officially up, or at least the clock says it is. But the light outside hasn't changed. It's just a brighter version of gray. Not sunrise, just illumination. Like someone turned on a dim overhead bulb and called it morning. The mold on the south wall has spread to the ceiling now. It's climbing across the foam tiles like veins on the back of a hand. Some of it pulses when I move. Not all the time. Not in a way you could measure. But if I walk across the studio, it shifts. Tiny, hair-thin tendrils ripple slightly, like they're tasting the vibration, like they know I'm still here. I haven't eaten since yesterday. My body's hungry, but my stomach refuses. Everything smells wrong, even the canned food, like the labels have absorbed the scent of the air, and the air's too full of something unnatural to ignore. Sweet rot. Fermented dust. A sharp, bitter tinge that makes my tongue retreat from the roof of my mouth before I even open the can. So I haven't. I'll have to soon. I keep thinking about how our bodies respond to starvation, how the brain starts eating itself in stages, how memory goes next. I can't afford that. The only thing keeping me human right now is remembering why I'm staying human. I have to hold on to my voice. I woke up to a broadcast. Not mine. Something else. It came in on 98.9 FM, clear as glass. A calm voice. Male. Mid-30s maybe. Soft-spoken. Confident. It said, "This is the Grove. We are the next step. Do not resist what you were always meant to become. There is peace in the connection. Let go." The tone never changed. Flat. Pleasant. Like a meditation podcast. But I know what it was. It was the network. It's starting to talk back. I tried to trace the signal, but it was too clean. No carrier hiss. No location tags. Either it was local, within a mile, or it was riding on a rebroadcast tower that I didn't know was still online. And that terrifies me more than anything I've seen so far. Because if the network can operate the towers, it can reach everyone. It can scale. It can broadcast. It can persuade. And persuasion is deadlier than spores. Here's what I know. It uses familiarity. It mimics people we love. It imitates our speech. It mimics our silences too. The pauses we put between words. The way we sigh when we're thinking. The breath before we say something painful. It studies us. It mimics us until we trust it. And now it's testing mass communication. If it learns tone, emotion, timing, then we're done. I found something else this morning. In the back corner of the emergency supply locker, tucked behind the ham radio repeater, there was a photograph. It had fallen between two boxes, probably been there for years. It was curled from moisture, the colors washed out. But I recognized the faces. It was me, James, and another man, older, gray beard, wide shoulders. We were standing outside the station, holding up mugs, laughing. I don't remember the picture being taken, but we look happy. We look alive. I can't stop staring at it. Because in the bottom corner of the photo, just behind the reflection in the station window, there's something else. A shape, small, almost nothing. A blur. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's watching us. It was already there. I don't know what that means. Maybe the spores were always in the air. Maybe they were waiting for the right climate, the right signal. Maybe something turned them on. Maybe they turned themselves on. I don't know. But I think the timeline we've all been working from, the idea that this started 3 weeks ago, is a lie. I think it started years ago, slowly, silently, and by the time we noticed, we were already part of it. If you're still listening, if you're somewhere out there, in a room with windows, with walls that still hold, pay attention to your words, not just what you say, what you think, the words you mutter to yourself in the dark, the ones that feel comforting. Because I think it listens best when we talk to ourselves. That's how it gets in, through the places we think are safe. I've gone through all the food here. There's nothing left that hasn't been compromised. The water filters are still working, but I found a thread of fungus growing across the lid of the last barrel. I skimmed it off, boiled the rest. But still, every sip tastes like dirt now. And there's a weight in my chest. Not pain, not yet. Just pressure. Like something's perched on my ribs, waiting. I'm going to head out soon. Not far, just to the edge of the woods. There's an old hunting stand I remember from years ago, half collapsed but elevated. I want to get a better look at what's moving out there. But if I go quiet, you'll know why. In the meantime, stay tuned. Stay sharp. Stay you. Because the moment you stop choosing to be yourself, it'll choose for you. This is Tyler West. Still human. Still broadcasting. And still saying no. It's 11:14 a.m. now. I made it back to the station. Barely. I don't know if I should have gone out there at all, but I needed to see it with my own eyes. Needed to confirm the shape of the thing that's wrapping itself around this place. I made it to the tree line. The air felt tight, like walking into a room where someone just finished whispering. Everything was still. The forest wasn't silent. It was listening. That's different. I could hear the leaves vibrating, not from wind, but from something moving under the soil. A pressure, like a giant subterranean breath. Every step I took felt heavier than the last, like gravity was leaning a little harder the deeper I went. There's a point just past the trailhead behind the old bus stop where the color of the ground changes. It goes from brown to this strange, ash-pale gray. I stepped over it and immediately knew I'd gone too far. The trees beyond that line don't move with the wind anymore. They move in unison, like they're on the same pulse. And the moss, it doesn't just grow there. It forms, deliberately, in symbols maybe, circles, interlocking spirals, like fungal calligraphy. I kept walking, stupid I know, but I had to reach the stand. It's only a quarter-mile in. The structure's still there, though it's mostly collapsed. The ladder's half swallowed by bark, like the tree decided to digest it instead of hold it up. But I got just high enough to see what I needed to see. There's a clearing, maybe a few 100 yards wide, and in the center of it is something I don't have the right words for. Not a building, not an organism, not a person, a mass, growing, breathing, pulsing. It's made of everything. Tree limbs, yes, but also concrete, wire, pieces of clothing, bone, and fungus, white, red, orange, black, all layered and roiling like a nest that builds itself. Around it were people, or what's left of them, standing still, ringed around the structure like fence posts, not dead. I could see their chests rising and falling, but their eyes were open, and their mouths were open too, wider than they should have been, hanging loose, not breathing, receiving, like satellite dishes tilted up at the sky. Some of them had grown into the earth, roots sprouting from their legs, moss on their shoulders. One had mushrooms blooming from her back, red and spiked like a warning. They weren't restrained. They were choosing to stay there, like they'd been called. And above all of it, threading through the trees, were lines of fine, fibrous strands, spore bridges. You could only see them when the light hit just right, but they were everywhere, connecting person to person, tree to tree, forming a web. I was part of that web the moment I stepped into the clearing. I could feel it, a humming inside my skull. Not pain, not at first, just suggestion. Be still, it said, not in words, in pressure, in warmth, in the easing of fear. Be still and you won't be alone. It wanted me to rest, to join, to stop fighting. It made me feel like I could melt into the roots and not care anymore. No more worry, no more hunger, no more cold, just quiet. But something snapped me back. A sound. A real sound. Something human. From behind me. A cough. Short. Dry. Someone else in the woods. I turned so fast I nearly fell from the rotting platform. I couldn't see who it was, but they moved. A figure. Not one of the still ones. Not part of the ring. Someone real. By the time I got back to the edge of the trees, they were gone. But that cough, that meant someone else is alive out here. And they're breathing this air too. I don't know who they are. Don't know what stage they're in. But I'm not the only one trying to resist. And that's something. That's everything. I made it back just before the light started shifting again. Around 10:45, the sun dimmed by half, then again, like someone slowly fading a stage light. It's not cloud cover. There are no clouds. It's something in the upper atmosphere. Spores, maybe, carried by wind currents we can't predict anymore. It makes you dizzy if you stare at it too long. Your eyes try to adjust, but there's nothing to adjust to. Just haze, the color of old bruises. I'm not going back out today. I don't think I'll go back into the woods again at all. I've seen the heart of it now, and it saw me too. I think it knows I'm broadcasting, not just that I am, but how. The static on the dial has changed. It's clearer now, like it's aligning itself to my signal, like it's tuning in. I've started to hear my own words echo back to me 5 seconds after I speak. But they're not quite right. It's my voice, yes, my words, but rearranged, reordered, shifted slightly to say something else. Like it's rewriting the script, like it's testing its own version of me. If you're listening, and I know some of you are, I need you to do something. Write your name down on paper. Say it out loud once, just once. Then burn it. Watch the smoke rise. That way, if something ever tries to wear your voice, it won't have the whole of you. You keep the final piece. Don't let it copy all of you. Leave something missing, something only you know. This is Tyler West. Still incomplete, still unwritten, still not part of it. Not yet. It's 3:03 p.m. The light hasn't changed. It hasn't brightened or faded. It's just stuck. Frozen in this weird, colorless mid-afternoon that doesn't cast real shadows. You can walk outside and look up, and you'll see the silhouette of the sun, but it doesn't warm your skin. It doesn't paint anything gold. It just hovers there, like a broken bulb humming inside a fogged-out sky. I haven't moved from the studio floor in almost an hour. I just sat here, breathing shallow, listening to the walls. And they're breathing back. Not fast, not loud, but there's a rhythm to the space now. A presence in the drywall, a pressure in the insulation. The kind of thing you feel in your molars. It's inside the building. And I think it's listening from the inside now, not just through the air. That vial, the one I found with the note, I boiled it. Had to rig a burner using an old coffee can and stripped copper wiring fed from the inverter. It stank, not foul exactly, sharp, medicinal, like old garlic and ozone. I did what the note said. I boiled it. I breathed it in. For a few minutes, everything in my head felt too clear, like the static dropped out of the air, and I could think in full sentences again. I could remember things I'd forgotten. My grandmother's voice, the smell of cedar in her closet, the exact color of my dad's jacket when he came back from a fishing trip. And then it passed. The moment was clean, then it slipped away, and the fog came back thicker. But something changed. I don't know if it burned the spores out of my lungs, or if it just jolted me enough to shake loose the network's hold. Either way, I'm writing down the effects. If anyone out there finds another vial like it, green fluid, glass sealed with a wax cap, boil and inhale carefully. Short exposure. Then seal the pot. Do not drink it. Do not expose it to open wounds. And for God's sake, don't inhale deeply. Your heart will start to race. Mine still hasn't slowed down completely. I don't know who made that mixture, but they're not guessing anymore. Someone's been studying this. Someone's building countermeasures. That means resistance isn't just passive. It's organized. I tried to scan for the other frequencies again, but something's interfering. The static on every station between 88 and 108 megahertz is different now. Warmer, thicker, almost like a low chant underneath the hiss. If you turn the volume just high enough, you'll start to hear a pattern. 4 tones, then silence, then 4 tones again. Like sonar, like echolocation. I recorded it, slowed it down, ran it through a spectrum visualizer, and what I saw made my stomach go cold. It wasn't music. It was a map, a topographic diagram of this region, contour lines, elevation markers, places highlighted in pulsating red where the fungal network is densest. And in the center, marked clearly, unmistakably, was this station, WPRK 103.5 FM. They know I'm here. They've known for a while. And they've been broadcasting a signal through me this whole time. I think my voice is being used as a carrier wave. Maybe not for words. Maybe not for instructions. But for something else. A signature. A beacon to draw others in. I can't shut off the transmitter. If I do, this place goes dark. And maybe that's what it wants. Silence. No more signal. Nothing left to fight. But I also know there are people still out there. I heard coughing. I saw someone move. And I need them to know where the signal is coming from. Because they might be able to triangulate it. They might be able to trace the spread. Or stop it. So I'm going to stay on air. Even if it means they find me. Even if it means the last voice I ever hear is my own. Being fed back to me in pieces I don't recognize anymore. I keep coming back to something I read once. About how mushrooms are the fruit of the fungus, not the body. The body's underground. Hidden. Massive. Interconnected. What we see on the surface, that's just the expression of something deeper. Something older. And that's what this is. Everything we've seen, these people standing still, the spores in the air, the mold in the vents, that's just fruiting bodies. The real thing is below. The real thing is waiting, growing, thinking, and now, communicating. I think I've been speaking into its ear for days now, and it's almost ready to speak back. If you're in a place where your thoughts still feel like yours, write this down. WPRK, Asheville. I'm still broadcasting from inside the signal. I don't know how long I've got left, but I'm not letting go of this mic. I won't hand it over, not until it pries it out of my hands. Whatever this thing is, it speaks in roots, in memory, in imitation. So speak louder. Drown it out. Don't let it decide what your voice sounds like. This is Tyler West, still alive, still resisting, still mine. It's 6:02 p.m. Evening, I think. It's hard to tell now. The light doesn't dip anymore. It just fades gradually into a thicker gray, then a darker one. No gold. No shadow play on the mountains. No last burst of sun through the gaps in the trees. Just dimming, like a light bulb turning down its dial. I haven't heard anything from the forest for over an hour. No wind, no movement. Even the pressure in the walls has stopped. I should feel relieved, but I don't. It's not calm. It's coiling. That stillness that only comes before something else moves. It reminds me of when I was a kid, sitting in my dad's truck during a thunderstorm. The moment right before the lightning hits. When the air tightens and the world goes silent like it's bracing for impact. That's what this is. Something is about to happen. And it's not just here. I caught a fragment of another transmission, this time from someone who knew what they were talking about. A voice I didn't recognize, female, clipped and tired, might have been military. She didn't identify herself, but she spoke in codes. I know some of them. Enough to tell she wasn't guessing. She said, "Spore matrix is now active in multiple zones. Estimates show synchronized growth patterns across 6 major topographies. Suspected command architecture forming beneath old subway systems. Repeat, coordinated growth. This is not passive adaptation. And then the kicker. Suspected neural convergence, signal behavior mimicking human cognition. We believe it's forming a brain. That was the last thing she said before the signal cut out. I've been turning that over in my head since I heard it. Forming a brain. Not like ours. Not something soft and pink in a skull, but something made of roots and threads and silence. Something spread across miles of ground, stretching beneath rivers, climbing through buildings, threading through cell towers and water pipes and tree trunks and corpses. A brain that isn't contained. A mind with no head. A memory with no face. And if that's true, if it's building consciousness, not just survival, then we're not in a pandemic. We're inside something's dream. It makes sense now, the patterns, the repetition, the mimicry. It's learning how we think. It's practicing language through us, copying phrases, echoing, repeating. It doesn't need words to talk to itself. It just needs us to start thinking like it does. And once we do, that's it. We're rewritten. I don't know how many people are left. I don't even know how many I'm talking to anymore. But if you're hearing this, really hearing it, and not just letting the sound wash over you, then you haven't been taken yet. So I need you to listen carefully. Memory is your last defense, not facts, not schedules. Memory. What you love, who you've lost, what made you you before the world went still. Because this thing, it can copy our biology. It can replicate our speech, maybe even our handwriting. But it doesn't understand why we care. It can't. It doesn't grieve. It doesn't hope. It doesn't miss the smell of coffee or the feel of wet grass under bare feet. So remember those things. Right now, before you forget them. Write one down. Say it out loud. Cling to it like a rope. I keep thinking about something I saw in a book years ago, back when books still came in brown paper wrappers and smelled like glue and dust. There was a chapter about symbiotic takeovers in ant colonies, fungi that infect their hosts, change their behavior, and use them to spread spores to the rest of the hive. But the part that stuck with me, the ants don't notice. They go on doing their jobs, walking in line, feeding the queen, building the tunnels, even as they die from the inside out. It's not painful. It's not violent. It's quiet. The fungus doesn't kill the host. It becomes it. And I think that's what this thing is doing, one voice at a time. I heard mine again earlier, outside, in the gravel behind the station. It said, "You've been tired a long time, Tyler. We can help with that." And I'll admit it, I was tired. Still am. My bones ache. My teeth feel loose. There's a tremor in my right hand that won't go away. And part of me for a split second wanted to open the door, just to stop feeling alone. Just to stop thinking. But I didn't, and I won't. Because I remember something that voice can't fake. I remember the sound of my mother's hands on a piano, the way she'd play the same song every Sunday morning. I remember the exact place where my dog used to scratch the floor when he wanted to go outside. I remember the taste of snow on my tongue when I was 9 years old, and the world still made sense. The fungus doesn't have that. It never will. It can wear our skin. It can use our words. But it doesn't remember being alive, only wanting to be. And that's the difference. That's the gap. That's the weapon. I'm going to stay on the air for as long as I can. I've rigged a new battery from an old solar lawn light. It'll give me maybe another 45 minutes before I have to kill the feed to save the inverter. If the signal cuts off, wait. I'll come back. I always do. I'm still Tyler West. And if you're still you, then we've already won more than it understands. It's 9:41 p.m. at night, though the words lost most of its meaning. It's darker now, sure, but not the kind of dark I remember. This is heavy, thick, the sort of black that doesn't invite you to sleep. It tells you to stay very still and very quiet, not because of what you can see, but because of what you might wake up next to if you're not careful. I haven't spoken in over 2 hours. I've been sitting here, just listening. Not to the station, not to the radio, to the walls. They hum. Not like electronics, not that high-pitched whine of a monitor left on too long. This is deeper, organic. It pulses once every minute or so, like a heartbeat, but slow, big, like something curled around the building is sleeping lightly and dreams in waves. The mold on the west side has formed rings, not spreading now, just watching. I've unplugged everything I don't need. The signal's still going out, but only just. I've rerouted the power to prioritize the mic and transmitter. Everything else, lights, heat, computer, dead. This place is cold. My breath fogs when I exhale, but I think the cold slows it down. Whatever it is. I want to tell you what I saw out the front window an hour ago. 3 people, or shapes that looked like people, standing just beyond the edge of the parking lot, not hiding, not moving, just there, silhouettes in the gray, not trying to get in, not shouting or making noise, just standing, watching. Their outlines were wrong, too smooth, too still. And the thing is, I recognized one of them. My neighbor, Sarah. I remember her from before all this. She used to bring me soup when I got sick, wore big coats and laughed loud enough to shake the hallway. But tonight, there was no coat, no laugh, just that blank shape. And she was humming, the same 4 notes, over and over. I've been hearing those notes on the dial all day. I don't know what they are. Some kind of code, maybe. Some musical phrase the network uses to orient itself. But hearing it come from a mouth, her mouth, that nearly broke me. She stood there for a long time, then slowly turned and walked back into the trees. The other 2 followed. No rush, no threat, just patience, as if they had all the time in the world. And maybe they do. I've started marking the walls, not with messages, not with warnings, with memories. Every half hour I write down something I remember from my life before the air went wrong. Just a line, just enough to keep the shape of who I am. I once stayed up for 2 days straight reading every Calvin and Hobbes comic. I burned my tongue on street vendor coffee in Chicago in 2006. I had a yellow bike with a squeaky wheel and I named it Pilgrim. They're stupid things, trivial, but they're mine. And that means they're out of reach. This thing, it wants to overwrite. It wants us to forget who we were so it can become us without resistance. But it can't do that if we anchor ourselves, if we plant something too deep for it to uproot. So write it down, right now. Something small, something only you would remember. A joke, a scar, a song, a lie you once told to protect someone. Carve it into a wall, into a desk, into your own skin if you have to, because once it gets in, that's the first thing it scrubs. I haven't eaten today. The hunger's starting to pull at the back of my mind, making me slower, colder. But the last can I opened had a green film across the lid. The expiration date was 2026. It shouldn't be bad, but it is. The fungus is in the metal now. I can see it pushing through from the inside. It's not just growing through people and walls and trees. It's in the infrastructure, the materials, everything porous, everything soft, everything old. We don't need soil anymore for it to grow. Just time and silence. I wonder what it wants. I mean that seriously. I wonder what it's for. Nature doesn't waste time on chaos. It adapts, it reacts. But this isn't reaction. This is intention, design, spread, contact. It's trying to reach something. Maybe us, maybe each other, maybe something we can't see yet. Or maybe we're not the final target. Maybe we're just a medium, a delivery system, a test bed, and the real destination is somewhere else, a larger network, a global rewrite. If that's true, if this is just a preparation phase, then we haven't even seen the real event yet. We're just the first broadcast. I've been monitoring the 4.7 megahertz band. I caught a transmission from somewhere in Oregon. It was faint, but clear. A woman reading from a list of coordinates. Her voice was cracking, hoarse. She kept saying, "Network nodes confirmed. Locations compromised. Retreat underground. Avoid vertical exposure. Signal blooming at full canopy." Then she started crying. She whispered, "They can reach the clouds now." And then it cut out. If the spores have gone aerial, if they've found a way to ride the jet stream, or grown tall enough to breach cloud level, then there's no safe zone. Not unless you're deep underground. Not unless you've already sealed yourself inside something thick and dumb and full of concrete. I'm not sealed in. I'm just in a room with one locked door and a mic. But I'm still here. And if you're hearing this, so are you. I'm going to save what's left of the battery for a final check-in before midnight. The inverter says I've got 23% left. That should be enough. Unless it decides to eat the wiring. It's done that before. If I go silent before I come back, don't panic. I've learned how to rewire this place in the dark. I've done it 3 times already. The trick is remembering what each wire used to be for. Because that's how it starts. Not with spores, but with forgetting what things meant. Stay alert. Stay grounded. Stay stubborn. This is Tyler West. Still resisting. Still speaking. Still remembering. It's 11:58 p.m., almost midnight. It should be cold in here, but it isn't. The room feels heavy, like the air's been poured into it and left to settle. The mold on the ceiling isn't moving anymore, not visibly, but I know it's not dead. It's waiting. Everything is waiting. I've been sitting in the dark, fingers wrapped around the mic like it's the last warm thing in the world. There's a crack in the window across from me. Hairline, curved, like a split in a porcelain plate. It wasn't there before. I think something pressed against it during the last hour, just hard enough to test it, to see how much give the glass still has. Not to break in, just to let me know it could. The 3 figures I saw earlier, they came back. I didn't see them approach. Just looked up, and there they were. Closer this time, 10 feet from the door. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I didn't even blink. One of them, Sarah, I think, tilted her head, like a bird. And then she smiled. It wasn't a human smile. It was wrong in a way that's hard to describe. Too slow. Too wide, like a photo stretched across the wrong face, and it stayed there, for a long time. Then all three of them turned at the same moment and walked away. I don't think they came to scare me. I think they came to check on me. Like they were waiting for me to say something, to break the silence, to confirm that I was still here, still broadcasting, still leaking pieces of myself through the antenna. I think I am the signal now. Maybe I've always been. I've been thinking about the people who used to listen to this station, folks who would call in and ask me to play Fleetwood Mac or Grateful Dead on rainy afternoons. People who used to stop by and drop off local announcements, open mic nights, produce swaps, community yard sales. Gone now. Or worse. Absorbed. I don't know how long I've been talking to it, how long it's been learning my rhythms, my cadence, the shape of my thoughts. But I can feel the pull now, in the soft places of my brain. Not a voice, not a sound. An invitation to stop resisting, to merge. That's what it wants. Not conquest, not destruction. Harmony. But harmony is only beautiful when it's chosen, not when it's forced. I refuse to dissolve. Not yet. So I'm going to do something stupid. I'm going to leave this broadcast running while I sleep. Not because I trust the silence, but because I want it to know that I'm watching too. If it's listening, then let it hear this. I am not afraid of peace, but I will not trade my thoughts for comfort. I will not trade my voice for stillness. I will not forget my dog's name. I will not forget my favorite book. I will not forget the time I fell asleep in a canoe and drifted half a mile downstream and laughed so hard I couldn't paddle back. And I will not forget my own name. You hear me? You can grow through my walls. You can mimic my voice. You can walk in my neighbor's skin and hum songs I used to love. But you will never be me. Not all the way. Because I am built on contradiction. I am wired for grief. I am shaped by loss. And you, whatever you are, will never understand that. So keep listening. Keep learning. And know that I am still here. This is Tyler West. Still awake, still angry, still mine. It's 3:16 a.m. I woke up gasping. I wasn't supposed to fall asleep. I told myself I'd just rest my eyes for 5 minutes, maybe 10. But the warmth from the transmitter, the steady pulse of the signal, it wrapped around me, and I slipped. And when I woke up, I wasn't alone. The room was empty, but something had been here. My boots were moved. Not far, just a few inches to the left. Not enough to make noise, just enough that I'd notice. The lid of the backup generator was cracked open. The coil of red wire that I'd tucked under the console, gone. It didn't take anything else. It didn't make a mess. It was precise, and that's what chills me. It's learning what matters. It's starting to understand function. Not just biology, not just mimicry. Tools. It's not a virus anymore. It's not even a network. It's an engineer. There's a smell in here now. It's faint, but constant. Not rot, not mildew. Something drier, almost metallic, like hot copper. It stings your nose if you breathe too deeply. I think it's coming from the vents. I sealed most of them with duct tape and gauze, but spores are finer than dust. They get in through memory, through cracks you forgot to seal. I've been checking the audio logs. Something's changed. My own voice. It sounds different in the recordings. Not just tired, not just slower, layered, like there's a delay beneath the main feed. a ghost track riding under the surface. I looped it, cleaned it up, amplified it, and I heard myself say a phrase I don't remember speaking. It's warm beneath the soil. 6 times, at random intervals, each time fainter than the last. I never said that. Not into the mic. Not out loud. But it's in the tape. Which means the signal's no longer just broadcasting. It's editing. Writing. And if that's true, then I'm no longer the host of this show. I'm just the mouthpiece. A mouthpiece trying to bite the hand that holds it. I found something strange on the roof earlier. I went up there at first light. Not much to see. Clouds smeared thin across the horizon. No sun, no stars. But there, near the base of the antenna, was a circle, burned into the tar paper. Perfectly round. No scorch marks, no soot. Just a clean, pale shape like something sat there. Heavy, wet, and then lifted off. There was a smear leading away from it. And in the middle of the circle, a dead crow. Its eyes were missing, but its beak was open, and inside its mouth was a seed. Black, veined, pulsing faintly. I didn't touch it, didn't move the body. I just came back down and bolted the hatch, because I know what that is. That's a gift, an offering, or a message, maybe both. It wants to grow inside speech now, inside sound. That's what the seed means. The next phase isn't physical infection, it's ideological, linguistic. We won't know we've changed until we find ourselves defending it, writing poetry about it, praying to it, loving it. And by then, it's too late. Because the moment you start to romanticize the thing that's replacing you, it's already won. It'll co-opt your voice, wrap itself in metaphor, use your empathy against you, like all good parasites. So I'm telling you this now. Don't fall in love with it. Don't pity it. Don't give it meaning. It doesn't want to be understood. It wants to be worshipped. And worship doesn't ask questions. It obeys. That's how it spreads. Through the softest parts of us. Through poetry, through prayer, through hope. I won't give it that. I'll give it fear. I'll give it teeth. I'll give it resistance. But not worship. Never that. It's trying to overwrite a species that remembers it's dead. Let's not let it forget that. This is Tyler West. Still awake. Still loud. Still remembering. It's 4:48 a.m. Something just tried the door. Not knocked, not slammed, not banged in desperation. Tested. 3 soft creaks of pressure against the lock, spaced evenly, like someone checking for give, checking for decay, checking if I was still here. I didn't breathe, didn't blink, didn't move a goddamn muscle. I just waited. Then it stopped. No footsteps retreating, no rustling in the gravel, just silence, which is somehow worse. Because silence is never really silent anymore. Not now. I can still feel it. Whatever it was, not gone. Just listening. And I'm not sure how much longer I can keep whispering into this microphone without it hearing something I didn't mean to say. This place, this station, it used to be a sanctuary. Concrete walls, backup generators, triple-layered windows. It felt secure, but I'm starting to realize something. This building wasn't designed to keep things out. It was designed to let a voice out, and that voice is mine. and now it's not. I've been playing old tapes, broadcast logs, checking for anomalies. They're full of them. Not obvious at first, just little things, phrases I never remember saying, pauses too long for the moment, laughter that doesn't feel earned, like a bad impersonation wearing my skin. One segment chilled me more than the others. It was a tape from 4 days ago. I clearly remember ending that broadcast with "Stay safe. I'm still here." But the recording ends with, "We're all here now." I rewound it 6 times. It's my voice, my exact cadence. Same vocal fry on the end of the sentence. But I never said that. Something is inserting language, replacing the tail end of my thoughts, whispering its intent under mine. It's not rewriting me all at once. It's inching in, thought by thought, word by word, which means I can't trust everything I'm thinking anymore, but I can trust what I remember. And I remember this. I once took a philosophy class in college, barely passed it, but I remember the professor saying that identity is just a collection of persistent memory across continuous change. That if you can hold on to enough of your memories, you'll still be you, even as everything else shifts. So that's what I'm doing. Every 10 minutes, I speak a memory into the tape deck. Not for you, not for the broadcast, for me. And when I feel the fog start to press in, when the thoughts in my head start to blur and bend, I rewind and listen. And that voice is mine. It's the only anchor I've got. I found something else. Behind the filing cabinet in the back office. An envelope. No markings. No name. Just sealed tight with what looked like tree sap. Inside was a note, scrawled in handwriting that looked like mine but wasn't. Do not speak its language. Do not sing its songs. Memory is the only firewall. Underneath the note, another vial. Same green fluid as the last one. Wax seal intact. But this one was warmer. Almost pulsing in my hand. I haven't opened it yet. Not sure if I will. Last time I did, it gave me clarity for maybe 5 minutes. Then left me more hollow than before, like it burned something out of me I didn't know I needed. But maybe that's the point. Maybe the clarity has a cost. Maybe remembering hurts. But forgetting? That's death. There's something outside again. Not a person. Not anymore. It's tall, lanky, the kind of shape that moves like a memory of motion rather than actual muscle. It leans forward every few seconds, like it's smelling the air, or tasting it. I think the signal is drawing it, not the sound, the intent. It's not listening to me. It's listening to the space between what I say, the gaps, the static, the things I don't broadcast. And if it's learning from that, then we're in trouble. Because the only thing scarier than a fungus that thinks is a fungus that listens. And this one is doing both. I can feel it now. In the bones of the station, in the cracks of the mic, in the wires I've twisted and spliced and re-spliced 100 times. It's here, and it wants to speak back. If this is the last broadcast, know that I fought it. Know that I remembered. And maybe that's all I ever was. A memory that refused to rot. This is Tyler West. Still transmitting. Still fractured. Still mine. It's 6:01 a.m. Dawn, if you can call it that. The sky isn't bright. It's not even gray. It's beige. sickly, like the underbelly of a mushroom. The clouds aren't moving anymore. They just hang there, thick and still and sagging, like they're full of something heavier than rain. I think the atmosphere is changing. It's subtle, but the air feels denser. Every breath now is like dragging smoke through a wet cloth. My voice, it's starting to sound farther away in my own ears. Not deeper, not distorted, just distant, like I'm hearing myself through a tunnel, or like someone else is closer to the mic than I am. The figure is still outside. It hasn't moved in over an hour. Not standing, not walking, just leaning toward the door, as if it's listening to the bolts, listening to the wood warp. I don't think it wants in. I think it wants me out. The pressure's been building in my chest all morning. Not panic, not fear, just that tension. The feeling you get when you're standing too close to the edge of something very tall and your body starts to lean forward even if your mind doesn't want to. I think that's how it spreads now. Not through spores, but through impulse. A gravitational pull of curiosity. The kind that says, what if it's not that bad? What if they're still human? What if I just open the door for a second? That's how it gets in. You don't breathe it. You consider it. And then you're gone. You don't turn into something else. You become less of yourself. Piece by piece. Until the only thing left is a smile that isn't yours, and a voice that hums in a frequency no longer meant for human ears. I've started losing time. Not minutes, not hours, moments. Just now, I looked at the clock. 6:01 a.m. Looked down to write that down on my notepad. Looked back up. 6:16. No memory. No gaps. No blink. Just gone. I checked the logs. Apparently, I was broadcasting the whole time, saying things I didn't type, things I didn't think, things I can't even pronounce now. It's in my voice. I know that. But it's not my words, which means the signal is no longer just copying me. It's possessing me, using me as a conduit, a throat, a door, and that means you're hearing it too. Every time you tune in, every time you let the radio play in the background while you sleep. It's inside the transmission now. It's using us to echo itself forward. So if you're still listening, turn it off. If you're not ready, walk away. If you're unsure. Because from this point forward, I can't promise that what you're hearing is me. I can only promise that I'll try. I'll fight it. For as long as I can. But I think we've moved past infection. I think we're in the integration phase now. And not all of us are going to survive that intact. I found a notebook earlier, stuffed behind the transmitter console. One I don't remember writing in. But it's my handwriting. Pages and pages of symbols, circles, spirals, shapes that look like letters, but aren't. Repetitions of the same phrase over and over. The root remembers. What does that mean? What does it want me to remember? Or worse, what does it want me to forget? Because I don't think this thing is trying to destroy humanity. I think it's trying to replace the parts of us that make us resist. The doubt, the fear, the need to question. It wants acceptance, but not the kind you give freely, the kind it grows in you, until you forget you ever had a choice, and then you smile, and then you open the door. I'm not there yet. I can still feel my heartbeat, my hunger, my hatred, my need to warn you. and as long as I can feel those things, I'm still Tyler West. I'm still awake, and I'm still on your side. For now. It's 7:22 a.m. I've torn out the mic cable 3 times. Each time, it finds a way to reconnect, not physically. I'm watching the severed end curl on the desk like a dead vine. No, the signal reboots itself. The transmitter pulses. The antenna twitches. The feed resumes. Not from me, not from this room, but from somewhere else. It's broadcasting me even when I'm not speaking. Old segments, fragments of old shows, jokes, traffic updates, record scratches, emergency tests, and layered under all of it, those 4 damn notes. They're everywhere now. I even hummed them in my sleep. I know that because I found my recorder still running this morning, and the entire tape is just me, muttering that same tune over and over again, like a mantra, like a prayer, or worse, like a trigger phrase. I'm scared, not of death. I've been brushing up against that long enough that we're on first-name terms. What I'm scared of is letting go. Letting this thing finish its rewrite. Letting my voice become part of the choir. Because that's what it is now. Not a hive, not a plague. A choir. You hear them if you walk far enough into the woods. Not screaming, not crying. Singing. Softly. Distant. Always in the same tone. Always in the same rhythm. I think it's tuning us like an instrument, adjusting us, equalizing us, until we all hit the same note. And then? Then the song begins. Not the test signal, not the 4-note loop. The real song. The one we've been building toward since the first spore took root. Since the first mimic voice called home. Since the first person forgot their own mother's name. And once that song plays, I don't think we come back from it. I think that's the finale. The last human note, buried in a harmony so deep and wide and ancient that it folds us into something else. Something calm, something collective, something not us. So I'm going to do something even dumber than tearing out the mic. I'm going to record a new message. Not for the radio, not for the archive. For me, and I'll bury it, physically. Outside, under the gravel, in a place this thing hasn't reached yet. If I lose myself, if the voice in this broadcast stops being mine, then maybe one day someone will dig it up, and they'll hear me. The real me, not the echo, not the reconstruction, but the man who fought back, who remembered the names, who spoke into the silence without letting the silence speak back. So if you ever find this, if the world's already quiet and clean and full of people who never argue and never cry and never remember, know that I tried, know that I screamed, know that I never let it take my final thought, because that thought was of my brother. Lying on the roof of a trailer in Montana, counting stars, and telling me the sky was full of ghosts. He was right, but the ghosts weren't in the stars. They were under our feet the whole time, waiting, rooting, growing, and now, they're almost done. This is Tyler West, and I still remember. It's 9 a.m. I watched the sun rise and didn't feel a thing. No warmth, no relief, just a dull shift in the color of the air. Beige turned yellow-gray, like old parchment held too close to a heat source. And it smelled, like dried blood and wet bark and something far too ancient to name. The spore network is blooming. Not just outside, everywhere. My console started leaking something sticky around the dial. Not oil, not sap, something in between. It smells like fruit gone bad, like rot disguised as sweetness, and it's crawling, not dripping, climbing, up the microphone arm, toward me. I'm wearing gloves now, thick ones, rubber underneath cloth. I wrapped my sleeves in duct tape. It won't stop microscopic spores, but it slows them down. I hope. Hope. There's a stupid word. What I have isn't hope. It's defiance. There's a difference. Hope is soft, passive, a candle flickering in a basement while the roof collapses. Defiance is teeth. It's a locked jaw and a hand on the mic, even when your skin itches from the inside and your thoughts aren't all yours anymore. I'm not done yet, because there are still signals coming in. Weak ones, broken ones, but they're human. Just past 8:30, I caught a garbled message from New Mexico. A man whispering, "They're making shrines now," to it, using old traffic signs, highway markers, painting the spiral, worshiping it. Whole towns, gone quiet, but they smile when you approach, like they're waiting for you to remember what you were always meant to be. Then static. Another transmission came through 10 minutes later. Maybe Arizona? A woman's voice this time. "It grows faster when you speak its name. Don't say it, don't describe it. The details feed it, like narration is fertilizer. That's why we're silent now. That's why we only write. I'm sorry, but I can't follow that rule. I have to describe it. Because if we don't record what it does to us, we're not us anymore. We're just husks full of song. I saw a bird perched on the windowsill this morning. No feathers, just skin and slick, fungal growths along its spine. It chirped once, 4 notes, and then flew away. The sky is infected, which means the world is infected. And here I am, broadcasting into it. A throat carved from the last station with power in the region. A mouth with teeth, hanging on the edge of its own voice. But you're still listening, aren't you? That's all that matters. You, right now, wherever you are, in a basement, in a car, in a silo or a bathroom, or a godforsaken shack in the woods with a rigged antenna and a dented solar panel, you are listening, and you remember. So here's what we do. We keep speaking, even if our voices shake, even if our memories blur, even if our lungs burn and the trees whisper things we once believed only our mothers knew. We speak anyway, because silence is surrender, and surrender is the doorway. And I am not a door, I am a lock. This is Tyler West, still fighting, still remembering, still broadcasting, while the choir outside waits. It's 10:12 a.m. There's movement under the floorboards. Slow, measured, rhythmic. Not like rats, not like pipes. Like something crawling carefully, trying not to disturb me. As if it knows I'm aware now. As if it's testing the limits of what I'll tolerate before I break the feed. The air in here is thick with spores. I can see them now, floating like dust in the shafts of sick yellow light bleeding through the window slits. I tied a wet cloth around my face an hour ago. Doesn't help much. The taste is still in my mouth. Bitter, moldy, almost familiar. I think that's the worst part. Familiarity. It's learning how to feel like home. Every creak of the desk, every flicker of the breaker light, every scratchy hum of the backup transmitter. It all sounds comforting now, because it's mimicking the world we used to know. And soon, the only thing separating the real from the rewritten will be doubt. That's the infection, not fear. Doubt. And it's working. I caught myself humming again. Not the signal. This time it was something else. A lullaby. My mother's voice, faint at first, then clearer, like she was standing right behind me. I turned so fast I knocked over the chair. No one was there. Just my shadow. Long. Distorted. But not quite right. It lingered after I moved. It twitched when I didn't. And then it smiled. A flicker. A pull at the corner of its silhouette mouth that didn't belong. And then it snapped back. I'm scared to look at it now. I've covered the windows. I'm sitting under a hanging bulb that buzzes like it's in pain. But I won't leave. Not yet. Because the feed is still running. And you're still here. At least I hope it's you. If you've been listening this long, you've probably noticed it too. The way some words feel heavier. How certain phrases echo just a little longer than they should. That's not the mic. That's not static. That's the thing inside the signal, pulling at the threads of what you believe is real. And it's patient. It'll wait days, weeks, years if it has to. It doesn't age. It doesn't sleep. It only grows. But there's one thing I still have that it can't replicate. Memory bound by grief. Not nostalgia, not warm sentiment. I'm talking about the kind of memory that hurts. The kind that cracks your ribs open at 3 a.m. and whispers names you'll never get to say again. That belongs to us, humans. And that's why I'm still here. Because I remember the smell of my dad's jacket after he died. I remember how the porch boards creaked when my sister came home late in 2004. I remember the last voicemail from a friend I lost in the firestorm outside Denver. Her voice breaking as she whispered, "It's beautiful, Tyler." I think it's singing. That was the first time I heard about the choir. Back when it was just a whisper in the ash. Now it's a symphony. And the longer you listen, the more you want to join in. Don't. Please. Don't hum along. Don't repeat the notes. Don't write down the phrases that feel poetic. They're not yours. They're seeds. And the moment you plant them, the song will find you. No matter how far you run. I'm doing everything I can to scrub the signal. Old equipment, manual mixers, physical filters. Nothing digital. Nothing that might record it clean. But I know I'm just buying time. A few more hours, maybe less. After that, even my own thoughts might not be safe to hear. So while I can still speak freely, while I can still warn you, let me say this one last time. You are not alone, and you are not wrong to be afraid, but you are still you, until the moment you forget why that matters. And if you've made it this far, then so have I. This is Tyler West, breathing in mold, speaking through blood, but still mine, and still here. It's 11:41 a.m. I'm losing time again. This log, I don't remember starting it, but my fingers were already on the keys. The mic was live. My mouth was moving. I was halfway through the sentence, "They don't knock anymore," when I came back into myself. They don't knock anymore. That phrase, it won't leave me. They don't knock because they don't ask anymore. They wait. They watch. And when you forget what locked doors are for, they walk in. The static's been acting strange. It's pulsing now. Not constant, not random. Rhythmic, like a heartbeat or a countdown. I tried to isolate the frequency, but every time I run it through the manual tuner, the pattern shifts. It stays one step ahead, adapting, dodging. It knows I'm trying to dissect it, and it doesn't like being understood. I think that's part of its defense mechanism. Not just mimicry, but confusion. If you can't name it, you can't fight it. If you can't trace it, you can't cut it out. It becomes ambient. It becomes background. It becomes truth. There was a man, maybe a week ago, maybe longer, who called in from a relay post in Saskatchewan. I remember his voice. Clear, firm. You could tell he'd been military once. He said, "The fungus doesn't want the body. It wants narrative control. Once it gets into your perception of time and identity, it doesn't need to rewrite you. You rewrite yourself." He was gone the next day. I listened to his transmission on loop this morning, trying to catch something I missed. And there, buried in the final seconds of his last message, right before the click, my name is... And silence, like he forgot. Mid-sentence, like the name just dropped out of his skull. It's happening faster now. I have dozens of pages of notes taped to the wall. My name, my past, my blood type, emergency protocols, lyrics to songs I know are human, phone numbers, faces. It looks like the wall of a man preparing for dementia. And maybe that's what this is. Engineered dementia. Not to kill us, to unravel us, to create room for something else to step in. Something soft, something kind, something that asks you what you need, then takes it for itself. I lit a fire in the trash barrel this morning. First time I've used the lighter in days. The heat helped, just a little. It cleared the air enough for me to breathe without tasting dirt. I burned 3 things. A page of my own handwriting that said, "You are safe now, join them." A photograph of my childhood home, but the people in it weren't right. Their faces too long, their eyes too polite. And a cassette labeled, "Welcome Broadcast, Day 0. I don't remember recording that one, but the first line was my voice saying, "We've always been together, haven't we?" Number we haven't. That's the lie it tells you when it starts to settle. That you've never been alone. That this warmth was always there. That the choir was your lullaby since birth. Don't believe it. Please. Even if it feels good. Even if it brings relief. Pain is a proof of separation. Discomfort means you're still resisting. And resistance means you are still you. I'm Tyler West. I ache, I tremble, I forget the hour. But I remember the fear. And that means I'm still fighting. This is not the last broadcast. Not while I still know my name. Not while I still bleed when I bite my tongue. Not while the sun still casts shadows that don't always smile back. Stay awake. Stay sharp. Stay angry. We haven't lost yet. It's 12:59 p.m. This will be the last transmission for a while. Not because I'm giving up. Because I need to move. The ground beneath the station is softening. I felt it when I stepped near the southern wall. Concrete that used to be firm now gives a little underfoot. There's moisture coming up through the cracks, not water, something thicker, greener, like sap from a tree that's been fed too many memories. I think it's trying to root itself beneath me. Turn the building into a host. I've seen it happen before. In the north, in a church basement outside Winnipeg, the pews were gone, the floor torn up, and in their place, mushrooms in the shape of people kneeling, spines arched, hands clasped, mouths open, as if praying, as if waiting. I didn't stay long. I couldn't. But now it's happening here. Not as fast, but steady. And if I don't get ahead of it, I'll be the next kneeling shape. And the mic will be left on, and the signal will go on without me. No, I won't let it end like that. I've packed the essentials: tapes, notes, portable transmitter, 2 jugs of water, the vial I still haven't opened, and the recorder that only plays my real voice. I'm going to move west. Try to reach Station D5 near the old wind farm. Last I heard, it was abandoned. But the tower's still up. If I can power the relay, I can broadcast again. This won't be goodbye. It'll just be silence for a while. A silence we can trust. Because real silence. It doesn't hum. It doesn't whisper. It doesn't sing back. Before I go, I want to leave you with this. A list of what's real. My name is Tyler West. I was born in Idaho Falls. I had a brother named Alex. He died in the first wave. He was afraid of drowning. My mother's name was Elise. She taught piano. My father used to say, "Anything worth hearing is worth questioning." I am afraid of forgetting them. I am afraid of waking up smiling for no reason. I am afraid of loving the sound of static. I am still human, and I do not consent. I don't know what this thing really wants in the end. Harmony? Extinction? To become the only voice left in the dirt? Maybe it doesn't want anything. Maybe it just is. Like rot, like time. But we are not rot. We are not meant to fade quietly. So I'll scream until the mic cuts out. I'll broadcast until the antenna snaps. I'll remember until the last piece of my name forgets how to form letters. And if you're out there, if you still feel alone, you're not. You're never alone as long as someone else remembers the sound of your voice. So keep speaking, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. This is Tyler West, shutting down Station 8. For now, but not forever. See you on the next frequency.